Okay, it is 6 o'clock. I'm calling this meeting of the Mazomanie Village Board to order. The meeting was properly posted on September 19th, amended on September 23rd. Roll call.
Harrah.
Here.
Beal.
Here.
Dearson.
Here.
Mickelson.
Here.
Ruland.
Here.
Schlamp. Springstack.
Here.
We have a quorum, so we can conduct business. Item 4, additions or corrections to the agenda, and if there are none, a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Jerry,
Second.
second by Jeff. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and those opposed by the same sign. The motion is carried. Item 5, approve the minutes from the last regular board meeting, September 10.
So moved.
Motion by Jeff,
Second.
second by Natalie. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. And opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Item 6, appearances and significant correspondence. This is for those who wish to speak on an item that is not on the agenda. And we have Vicki Barris from Northwest Dane Senior Services. And Vicki, we allot 3 minutes.
Okay,
Starting now.
okay, great. So I'm Vicki Barris. I live at 328 State Street here in Mazomanie, Wisconsin. I'm a village resident, I am a taxpayer and a flood survivor, and I'm also the case manager at Northwest Dane Senior Services. I'm very aware that there are some tough decisions that Northwest Dane Senior Services may have to make in regards to the services that are provided here to the village of Mazomanie. But I wanted to make a plea on the behalf of what I do for the older adults aging in this community and the vital importance of your support. So I do things like I deal with elder abuse and neglect in the community. I help with Medicare. I help with mobile meal assessments, home safety assessments. I help people stay in their home safe and well in the community. And there's many, many other things I do underneath that umbrella. What really disappoints me and the reason that I'm here is I do live here. And I really want my money to go to a place that's important and vital in this community. And I feel like our older adults are our most vital resource in our community. And I'm not really sure what our older adults would do without the help of Northwest Dane Senior Services and me specifically. I have literally saved lives in this community, and it really saddens my heart that the village is only willing to give $500 towards the services. With Medicare Part D open enrollment for 2019, I saved your area residents over $4,650 in premium costs and in out-of-pocket drug costs that stayed in this community. So I would hope and wish and pray that you would all feel that this is an important investment in your older adults that are aging well in this community. I have a letter to read from Sarah Schatz. She is the community social worker here in town. She's been working at Wisconsin Heights area as a community social worker for 5 years. She's writing in support of continued to increase funds for Northwest Dane Senior Services. We are a local not-for-profit. We play a vital role in the community, and she works regularly with me and individuals who may need extra support from Dane County and see the amazing work that I do. I'm also part of a community team that meets monthly to discuss how we can best serve our families at Northwest Dane. This is an amazing organization that provides thorough and respectful care of our local elders. Adequate funding in turn reflects the value that we respect our elders, and that all they have contributed and continue to contribute to our communities. I feel proud to support their work. Thank you for your consideration. Mary Wethel is a resident here in town, and she also is a volunteer at Northwest Dane. She says we have many Mazomanie residents that use the services at the senior center for medical rides, lunch, and for entertainment and socialization. She's a bit ashamed to see how little Mazomanie is providing in financial support. These services are invaluable to our aging population. and really need your support. The service is similar to emergency medical services, which would not go unsupported. I'm afraid that we are underappreciated until a need arrives for one of you or your family members. So I'd respectfully request that you would please reconsider the amount that you are donating to Northwestine Senior Services. It is an investment in your community, and I really enjoy what I do here, and I want to be able to be a proud community member that supports Northwestine. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thanks.
Okay, item 7, village president's report, I have nothing. Item 8, village administrator report. Peter, do you wanna just summarize that?
Budget. There are a few other things, being taken care of. One, there was a levy limit workshop that Tara and I and Gary went to, which actually gave me a few ideas to try to find a little wiggle room in our levy. So, we'll be following up on that.
Questions of Peter? Item 9 is first board meeting of the month. Item 10, public works report. That would be you.
September 2019. We spent quite a bit of time again this month with project oversight. Also mediating with the residents in the affected neighborhoods. This project is dragged on to the point where people are, excuse me, becoming frustrated, and understandably so. We've had 2 sewer backups in the Scott Street, Exchange Street neighborhood that have been a result of the construction in that area and a result of some of the contractors' work. And so anyway, we did have our sewer mains in that neighborhood televised prior to construction, and with that baseline, we will be able to back charge all of the expenses that we've incurred. I've been working with Sean Dilly and Dustin Esser to get our new mapping GIS program up and running. We have most of the equipment ordered at this point. We've been working on the routine seasonal stuff that we do this time of year, winterizing the pool, prepping the leaf vac, painting crosswalks, parking stalls, that sort of stuff. We have the backup generator projects at well 2 and well 3 are both completed, and that project as a whole finished up $46,000 under budget. We're currently working on repairs to the surge tank at the municipal pool. We continue to mow weekly because of the continued rain. We have asphalt being placed today on Scott and High Streets. A small amount of landscape restoration work left on that project. And that should be winding down here this week. Had a meeting with James and Lee Lavoie with our engineer as requested. Also had a meeting with Brian Berquist to discuss capital projects and grant opportunities. That's pretty much it.
No?
That's all.
Hardly earned your money this month.
Thanks, Mark.
It looks like the street project is quickly nearing an end for this season.
Yeah, so that's a binder coat of asphalt, which was in the original plan.
Yeah.
If we have any warranty work, that'll happen in the spring, and then there'll be a finish coat of asphalt.
I know it's been frustrating, but good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Questions for Mark? Item 11, Vanguard Commission update.
We didn't have a meeting this month.
That's an easy one. Item 12, update on Dane, Iowa Wastewater Commission.
We had a meeting last week. 2 things from the meeting. One is we've got a policy now set for requests for new connections to the sewer system that were not in the original plan. Also, are beginning to start work with our engineer, Dana Iowa's engineer, about adding Arena Cheese's new production. And finding out how much, it's gonna cost for a hookup fee and make sure that it's not gonna adversely affect the plant.
Okay. Questions of Peter? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 13, update on EMS. The commission met earlier this month, and it was just budget, and approved the budget without an increase in the levy limit. I think there might have been a few dollars increase to the village, but only because of population increase, so. Questions? Item 14, Lake Marion update to include fish stocking. Mark.
Got several items to update on Lake Marion. There's a fish stocking scheduled for this Friday, which will be part of the 2019 fish stocking, and it will be completed sometime next week. And with that, I also have been consulting with our fisheries biologist and the sportsman's club. With fish going in that lake this week, we need to adopt a policy. And so, I guess an action item that I would ask of the board is to allow the Public Works Department to post it as no fishing until next June. And then at that time, all of the involved parties can bring updated info back to the board, revisit it at that time. I can tell you that my goal and the goal of the Sportsman's Club is to get fishing open to the public at Lake Marion as fast as we can. However, at this point in the year, there's no public benefit to opening it up, and it makes the most sense to just leave it sit idle until next summer.
Mark, as I understand it, you're proposing to hold a youth fishery next summer at some point?
That was just a discussion I had with Bradley Brunker. That was an idea that we had, was maybe to have a youth fishing day to get the public out there, and that would allow us to gauge what we have for a fish, the size of the population that we're working with, and then we can move forward from there, but that's just a tentative idea.
Okay, so what you're looking for right now is approval from the board to post no fishing signs without any expiration date at this point in time.
Correct.
To be determined in conjunction with the Sportsman's Club and the, your fish management specialist?
Yeah, we've got a fisheries biologist that we've been consulting with.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the posting of no fishing signs at Lake Marion for a period of time yet to be determined?
Motion.
Motion by Scott.
Second.
Second by Natalie. We have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Our motion is carried. Anything further on the lake?
There is.
Okay.
Behind the scenes, there's been discussion of a grand opening this weekend, but that never materialized. And so there is a published event that the Sportsman's Club have fundraised throughout the summer for the fish stocking at the lake. And that fundraising effort has a date attached to it where they have advertised that they will present a check to the village this Sunday. So we need a village representative there this Sunday. However, I feel that myself, Peter, and the Sportsman's Club would like to formally pull something together in October and actually give it the grand opening that we all feel it deserves.
Good.
So with that, Peter and I and Bradley and his committee have agreed to pull something together. The Sportsman's Club, I've been told, strongly support this. However, it's a village event, so my question is, do we have a budget to work with?
What do you need?
$500?
We've got it in the contingency, or is there money in the celebration fund this year?
There is some in the celebration night.
I don't know that we even need that much, but we need something. Our engineering firms are planning to donate to the event. I know the sportsmen sponsor it, but it is a village event, so I need something to work with.
Is
Not
there,
in the celebration, but we can find it in there.
is there a motion to appropriate $500 for this?
So moved.
By Natalie,
Second.
second by Jeff, discussion.
Does the village have to fill out a use permit for the park?
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion is carried. Are you done?
I'm done.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Mark. Item 15, update on Mazo 2020 committee.
No new meeting.
Item 16, violations of property ordinance.
Sent a letter out this week. Also, we're getting the final inspection for the person that was living in the garage to make sure that is not, they're no longer using it as a living space. And also, we have the Bertrands that we're gonna be talking about tonight.
Questions? Item 17, flood update.
Tracy Johnson and I met with Michelle's staff about compliance with the ordinances and elevations, and actually, it's quite a long meeting. She's gonna send us a memo for the follow-up on that, and then we'll know exactly what we need to do from there.
Like following up with those that have already complied, or?
Follow up with those that haven't complied. So, she's got a couple that she's got questions on. She was gonna do a little more research on it and then send us a memo to say exactly what it was, because in the meeting, she wouldn't be pinned down and tell us exactly what we're talking about. Tracy and I were kind of frustrated.
Questions? Hearing none, let's move on to old business. Item 1, ordinance amending the code of ordinances relating to fire prevention. That ordinance has been reviewed by Village Attorney Bill Cole. And Sue, he's recommending,
His changes are in purple. I don't know what color they came out on your copy, but on my copy, they were in purple. The changes that we had made, or are in red. So basically just the titling, he added section 1, and then he struck of the Department of Commerce, all of which are out of that adoption of state codes, and then changed some of the headings.
is there a motion to approve? the
Motion to
ordinance
approve.
change? Second by Jeff. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed by the same sign, that motion carries. Item 2, brush recycling site.
We reached out to our consultant that's working on that. They don't have an update. They're planning to start working on it soon, so we should have something at the next meeting.
Okay. Any questions of Mark on that? Item 3, allow the Historical Society to get sealed bids for their repair work instead of getting formal bids. Sue, do you want to give some background on that?
Okay, I had gotten a call from Judy Curtis, and she wanted me to give them a letter saying that they didn't have to we didn't have to post for bids. And so what I did is I told her that I couldn't do that because I don't know all the technical stuff around bidding. So I contacted Brian Berquist from Town and Country Engineering, and he said that the state requires over $15,000 for public works construction. But this is not considered public works construction, that would be like a street project or something. So he said that according to the state, we wouldn't have to have it, but we may have some policies in place that would override that. So what I did is I went to the ordinance book and I found out that anything over $15,000, our ordinance either requires us to go for a formal bid, which would mean that we would have to publish, and then there's certain criteria that has to be met before we could do it, and Brian said that that could easily add $5,000 to the project cost and 2 months lead time before they could start the work, or the finance committee could override, and that they would allow them to just go to a sealed bid. And so that's what the Historical Society is asking, is that that the village allow them to just go for a sealed bid instead of going through the formal bidding process.
Is that all understandable? Now, we didn't have a separate finance committee meeting, but we can probably take care of this if we have a motion and a second from finance committee members, and then open this for discussion. So is there a motion to allow the Historical Society to get sealed bids for their repair work instead of getting formal bids?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Troy,
Second.
second by Natalie. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye,
Aye.
and opposed, same sign. That motion is carried. We're into new business. Item 1, request for a conditional use permit for a property located at 321 Commercial Street. Current zoning is B2 Highway Commercial. A conditional use permit would be for the outdoor parking of trucks, excavating equipment, farm equipment, and multi-person transportation vehicles. The request is being made by Daniel and Bobby Zonin. Now, the Plan Commission met last evening and voted unanimously to approve this voted unanimously to recommend to the board that the conditional use permit be granted. And I'll read that motion. Motion by Jim Craney, second by Dick Royston, to approve a conditional use permit for the outdoor parking of trucks, excavating equipment, farm equipment, and multi-person transportation vehicles on the area currently occupied by the bus barn and the adjoining parcel, not including the rectangle lot on the corner of Reeve Road and Emily Road. And that motion carried unanimously by the Plan Commission. That is their recommendation to the board. Is there a motion to accept that recommendation?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Natalie.
Second.
Second by Scott. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed by the same sign. That motion is carried. Item 2 under new business, extension for a raise order for James. By the way, I'm abstaining on that last motion. Item 2, extension for a raise order for James Bertrand's house at 312 Crescent Street. And there is a formal quote from Kevin Stotts with the provision that the work will be completed, the home will be raised by November 10th of this year. Sue checked with Attorney Cole because this raise order was issued by the municipal court. And the question was, can the village board grant the extension? Does the village board have standing? Cole advises the board can grant an extension if the quote is deemed sincere And he said, I would then recommend granting the extension, so I would assume that this is a sincere quote, is it not, Kevin? It is. Is there a motion to approve the extension of the raise order for the Bertrand property at 312 Crescent Street with the provision it be completed by November 10th, 2019?
So moved.
Motion by Jerry,
Second.
second by Troy. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. That motion is carried. Item 3, temporary Class B beer and wine license for the Mazomanie Lions Club for the Harvest Dinner on November 2nd, 2019.
Motion approved.
Motion by Natalie,
Second.
second by Jeff. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye,
Aye.
and those opposed by the same sign. That motion is carried. Item 4, approve pay request number 5 for rural construction, and I believe there's a new pay request, other than that was included in your packet. This is approved by Town and Country Engineering, and it is approved by Mark. The total amount of $338,469.15. And that will leave how much does that leave for next year, Mark?
370.
Yeah, there will be another pay request to finish out this year.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve that pay request?
Can I ask, so this one is 443 and this is 338?
Right, and there's a note on the one that I sent with the
Right,
original
right.
one. When they sent last week, they were supposed to get a hold of, Town and Country Engineering before the owner of the company went on vacation. He didn't. So I got the first one from Tom DeBeast from Town and Country Engineering, and he was going to be talking to the company to make the request more realistic on what they actually spent, and then that's what the second one is. We don't have a motion yet, no.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the pay request then to rural construction in the amount of $338,469.15?
So moved.
Motion by Jeff. Hate parting with the money, folks?
Second.
Second by Troy.
It's principal.
Discussion.
Not fun spending money. Quick question, I saw a lot of water puddling next to the Historical Society over the weekend. Does that have anything to do with the work they're doing, or is that,
Has
Always
something
been
to
there.
do with the lack of work. So there's supposed to be an inlet in that parking lot,
okay?
but rather than put it in when the pipe is exposed, they'd rather come back and dig it up and put it in.
Okay,
There will be one there.
do we have concerns about that this winter then? That
No, it'll be there this week if,
okay, so it's happening, okay,
should have happened 2 weeks ago.
okay, good, because I didn't like seeing that huge pond.
No, there's supposed to be an inlet in the center of that pond in the parking lot. Basically to the toe of that slope, the whole area is supposed to be gravel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. We're into committee work, personnel, and I have nothing at this point in time. Public Works and Property, Ray is not here. Parks and Rec,
Nothing?
Public Protection and Ordinance.
I have nothing.
Your work is done for a while. Congratulations, you had a busy year.
It's been tough.
Finance, now there is a bill that is not in your packet. This is to Chris Foss, contractor, for $4,000. And this is for what?
That is a check that was paid previously, but they never received the check, so it's a reissue.
Yeah, okay,
Concrete work for the water utility.
okay. So with that included, is there a motion to pay the bills as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Natalie,
Second.
second by Scott, discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Okay.
And opposed, same sign. And Troy, do you want to talk about the schedule of events that
Yeah.
you're planning at this point?
So we had met, last week, what day was that?
Thursday.
Thursday, and started the process of review of budget. Our plan right now is, Peter's gonna continue to work on it, we're waiting for some revenues to kind of show up a little bit more. We're gonna sit down and look at it together, and our next step in the process is sometime in the month of October. I don't have a date set yet, but our goal is to bring a proposed budget to the finance committee, for review. And we'll start the discussion with that, and once that is, whether it's one committee meeting or two, it depends on how long it takes to go through it. Once that passes or it gets through our committee, then we'll be bringing it to the board. We have a date set for November, it's the second meeting in
Second
November,
meeting in November.
that we have to have the budget,
26.
the budget has to get
26,
approved,
yeah.
so our focus is still that date. We're a couple months away from it, but we're starting the process to work through it.
Questions of Troy?
Peter, could you just, so that everybody knows that, so we can't increase the levy limit this year, can you just explain like what that means, just in general, so everybody?
Well, in general, it means we get to spend basically what we spent last year.
So we can't increase taxes,
We,
is that what it?
we can't increase our levy. People's taxes are gonna look to increase if we keep the levy the same because of our loss of value in the village because of the flooding. It spreads.
We could increase taxes through borrowing. Borrowing is an adder to the levy limit, but then there's an expenditure restraint issue that comes into play. And if we don't exceed last year's expenditures by more than the rate of inflation plus a variable that DOR, Department of Revenue, gives us, then we get money back. So, it's, yeah, if you study it real
I've been
hard.
doing a lot of reading on it, but it's,
If-
it gets a little bit confusing,
it's very
especially in our
confusing.
situation,
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
where,
If
you
you
know, the
study
new
it real hard, you
construction.
won't understand it.
Yep.
right, that's, I'm starting to
I'm in that same
understand
boat,
that.
trying to just gauge where everything goes and where it comes from.
You know, I guess I'm playing devil's advocate and saying, for instance, with the Northwest Dean Senior Services, you know, I think you're gonna get a rally of residents that say, I'd be willing to pay an increase in my taxes if a program like that stays, you know, and like, I just wanna make sure, you know,
We have to, yes.
We're
we have
sharing
to
the correct information.
Look at that reality, but we also, when it comes to us, the way I understand is that, we're looking at our general fund, and the general fund is coming from the levy, am I incorrect on that?
That's
Part of
And
it,
so-
yeah.
Part of it is, but so there's gonna be some pieces that if we decide that we wanna keep, we can go down the road to see if we can, take a loan out on it or something, but that will increase the tax base. And so, there's gonna be some programs that we're gonna really have to look at and understand, and it's gonna be a few years of just trying to get out of this hole and get back up again, get the new builds happening and the assessments to start going up again.
In your packet is a copy of the agreement, at least we have with the Historical Society, that'll be coming back. So that's for your perusal, just to understand what that is before the next meeting. Now, we're going to go into closed session here, folks. the way things stand right now with revenue projections is that we have a shortage of $178,000. And one of the things we're going to be discussing is our contract with the Dane County Sheriff's Office for services. So let me read this. Consideration of motion for closed session pursuant to section 1985 sub 1 sub E Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating or purchasing for public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session regarding the contract with the Dane County Sheriff's Office. So, is there a motion to go into closed session? And this will be, and then we'll do a roll call vote.
So moved.
Motion by Jerry,
Second.
second by Troy, to go into closed session for the purposes stated. Roll call?
Arrow,
Yes.
Beal,
Yes.
Dearson,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Ruland,
Yes.
Springstaff.
Yes.
We have a unanimous vote, so that motion is carried to go into closed session.
Get us after you're done.
You know, I doubt, Joe, that we're going to come out and disclose what our negotiating position is going to be.
That's what I figured. Okay.
But we can let you know as soon as something is issued to Dane County, if that would help you.
All right.
All right?
Thanks.
Yep.
As long as it's closed.
Okay, we're back in open session, and we have no announcement to make on this. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
By Natalie,
Second.
second by Troy. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed by the same sign. Motion is carried. Thank you, folks.
Thanks, Troy.